Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Fitchburg Parks Commission. First item on the agenda, do we have an approval of the minutes from June's meeting? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve.
Oh, we have, I should have known, we have resident registered to speak for item agenda 2, Patrick Cheney. Go ahead.
It's not green. I tried.
Oh, there you go. I can hear
Okay.
you. Yep. Now you're good.
In the minutes, I'm sure that a member may have spotted this already, but since public speaks first, I get my chance to catch it before Sue does. I will mention that the minutes do not include that Sue Easterday was present, and that can be proven by the very next item that shows that Sue motioned the approval of the very next item. Then, while I'm here, I will also add something. I would suggest that in the minutes right here, it mentions Deputy Administrator Adam Sayer, but I think that it should say Deputy Administrator Adam Sayer as the filling-in Parks Director for this vacant position due to the past longtime director retiring. Reason for this is the May minutes were the last meeting for Scott to be here, and he wrote up the minutes, and he didn't want to have a big fanfare going out. He made his kind of surprise announcement at the end of the meeting, and he didn't write it into those minutes. So this leaves out an explanation of where's Scott. And there may be fans of this park commission who maybe didn't catch that at the end of the May meeting and may be wondering, where's Scott? So this would put it into the written record as an announcement, sort of, that he retired.
Very good. Makes sense. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. All right. Now we can have a motion to approve.
As amended?
As amended, if
I'll
that
motion.
person making the motion so chooses. All right. We have a motion.
Second.
That was me.
Motion by Heidi and a second by Sam. All approve? Say aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public appearances for non-agenda items. We do not have any.
Yes, you
unless we do. Well,
It's there.
I have two that are both agenda items. Is there another one?
Should be there.
Oh, I see. Yes, go ahead. Patrick Cheney Wishes to speak about nothing listed in particular. What would you like to say, Patrick?
Okay. I thought this was most expedient to put several different comments together that I have. All of these comments relate to better information and communication with the public, which our administration and our staff have been saying they want any improvements that they can come up with. So I have several points, and this agenda right here seemed like a good example of things I wanted to mention. At the very top, it mentions that the date of this meeting is not the usual first Thursday of the month. It's also at 5 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. I've been promoting this for quite a few years, that whenever there is a change in the date or the day or the location or the time, that it should be noted with some extra special lines at the top to bring attention to it. I would kind of wonder if anybody was, we'll see if anybody shows up at 6 o'clock here because they miss one single little digit as 5 instead of 6 for the starting time. And I think that would be helpful to alert changes like that to the public. Let's see, then number 4 used to be review and approve the agenda, and I noticed it's not in this agenda, which strangely takes away presumably the ability of the commission to readjust the agenda in case one of these items down the list has a whole bunch of audience show up. So that's a question of what happened to that number 4, review and approve agenda. Number 5, in communication, says dogs in park. Okay, there's dogs in parks, so what? It doesn't explain anything here, and there's absolutely not a single word in the packet, so I don't know what this is about. And it could be something controversial where people may want to show up and speak about it, but we don't really know at this point what it is, and items should be clearer than this and not so vague that, what's this about? Then in 6, for the staff reports, it was changed several years ago at my suggestion that the staff reports have the author attached to the reports because that's a more professional looking report, and it shows accountability and it shows who exactly is the author writing up these. And in this set of staff reports right here, the only one that has a name and title and such attached to it is Deputy Administrator Adam Sayer. So I'm wondering why the other ones have dropped this off, and I would like to see that back again. And the last item that I have is number 8, where it says next meeting, August 7th. Now, this was also at my suggestion several years ago, and I wonder if anybody remembers the reason that I brought it up. I'll let you guess, of why I thought it was valuable to show the next 2 meetings instead of just the one. Parks is the only commission that was showing the next 2 meetings. There was a reason. So I would kind of like to not see this reduced down to just the one next reading. All you got to do is look at the calendar and see when the next 2 meetings are. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. All right. That brings us to item 4A, discussion and action items. Item A is Resolution R-11525, approval of professional design services for Kids Cross Game McKee. We do have a resident registered in opposition and wishing to speak, and that is Patrick Cheney. Go ahead, Patrick.
This one I'm opposed to. The others were just comments. This right here, Kids Crossing, I have looked at it. I spent a half an hour a couple months ago walking around through it and looking it all over and looking for what needs to be repaired and how bad it was and everything, and I didn't think it was bad at all. And I don't think it's worth $1 million to replace it, tear it out, destroy it, and then build another one from scratch. So I will issue the same challenge to the members of the Park Commission that I challenged the council members before they have their turn in the future here coming up soon to vote on this. And I challenge the Park Commission members to call for a roll call vote, and then as each of you vote, I would like to hear each of you say, if you have been there somewhat recently, spent ideally a half an hour looking it all over as I did, and decide for yourself firsthand with your own eyes if you think this is in such bad shape that it needs to be demolished and replaced, Or if you want to say that, no, you have not been there in any time and you're going on hearsay, or you're just going on what other people say, and decide which way you want to vote on it based on whether you've been there or not. I'll point out that this is about $60,000 for a consultant to plan things out, and then the information in the packet says this is roughly $1 million with 2025 and 26 scheduled for this, which is a lot of money. And I remember that this was originally going to be on grants and donations, and you got to admit that ain't going to happen to get that much in donations. I don't know about grants; it'd be really lucky. So this was switched to, listen closely, property taxes. And the mayor recently said that the budget for 2025 was $500,000 short. Well, if you look at this consulting planning fee right here, and then I think it's about $375,000 for the 2025 year, that's pretty much $500,000 right there. So there's your budget solution. So I am opposed to the Kids Crossing being demolished and another one built from scratch in its place. And I'd like to hear from each of you if you have looked at it recently. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Let's see. So, after hearing from residents in attendance, do I have a motion to approve Resolution R-11525?
I move to approve R-11525.
Motion by Sue. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Sam. Thank you very much. Adam, would you like to give us any background information you feel is relevant?
Sure. Before you tonight are the professional design services for the redesign of Kids Crossing. That's in McKee Farms Park. This work would include, meeting with the public, designing a new playground for that area. It would also include the construction documents that create the construction documents to actually build it, and then ultimately the bidding as well too. It does also include construction management services as well. This is part of the budget for both this year and next year. So this is the first step. If this is approved by the council, it would get designed this year and then get built next year. And we have Katie McDonald here tonight from Parkitecture. And if you have any technical questions, I'm sure she'd be happy to answer those.
Hello, Katie. Good to see you again. I don't have any immediate questions other than looking at the range of fee that we receive from various firms in this RFP. I would say that the firm up for staff recommendation for approval in this, we seem to be getting a lot for our money. So I think that it's a great opportunity for the city. Will speak to the project as a whole. We've been, it's not the first time that this project has come before the commission. This approval that we may or may not take tonight is just the next step in the process. So I appreciate Patrick's comments. We've already decided as a commission that this park amenity is ready for replacement. That has been decided. We've approved it. I don't feel the need to justify our decisions anymore. It's been visited by staff, by outside consultants that said it is time to be replaced. It's a safety risk. We've made that decision, and we're moving forward with it unless something else changes. So I understand that not everybody agrees with that, but that's the place we are in now. So that's just what I have to say. If any other comments or questions for, yes, Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
I'm going to give you an analogy, and that is, say someone, you have a doctor, and he tells you you have to have a heart transplant, and you say, I get up out of bed every day. It's a little harder for me to move around. I'm not great, but maybe I should get a second opinion. And that's how I feel about this. I brought a professional, a Fitchburg contractor, professional builder with many years of contracting experience down to look at this. And I had the audit report, and I looked at it with him, and he gave us some very, very concrete, he said, no, you could power wash this, sand it, treat it again, replace the bad. And he said, the posts in there are 100 years. 100 years those posts will last. And I'm there, I go there on Saturdays, and I ask mothers with their kids, do you want this replaced? And the answer is no. I offered to the mayor, I said, could you delay this till September to see if I could put together a group of, volunteers and another plan? And she said, nope, we're doing this. And anyone that's asked, she's been very insistent, no, we're replacing this. And, her point is, staff said it has to be replaced. And I think you'll find I'm very supportive of staff. But to ask for a second opinion, which I did and got, and for that not to be considered, I can't, this is $1 million. I think we could spend a third of that, refurbish it and move forward. So I won't be voting for this. It's not going to matter. I couldn't get us, no one else is going to stand behind this, but I'm making a stand here. This doesn't need to be replaced. And most of the people that still bring their kids there agree with me. No disrespect, Katie. I know you do great work. This isn't about you. I think I respect you greatly, and if it moves forward, I'm glad you're on you're who's selected. So that's all I want to say.
Thanks, Dave. Heidi, I see you have your hand up as well.
Yes, just a question. So I was thinking sort of along the lines of Dave, and I was wondering why was this may have been before my time, or if it wasn't, I'm not remembering it. Why was his second opinion not considered?
The mayor ignored my request for a second opinion. Yeah, we're moving forward. It's been approved, and this is what we're doing. I offered to bring in the contractor, and no part of it.
Sam?
Yeah, I guess one of the questions I have just is relative to, is the city council looking to save this $500,000? Is there an active project since we're over, our budget isn't where it needs to be? Is there an active project where we're actually looking for areas to save this $500,000? I guess that's my one concern, So, we already decided this, but if for some reason there's financial reasons that we need to go back and revisit this because we're looking for $500,000, to close a hole in a budget, and I guess I understand that. So my question, long story longer, right, is there an active project going on in the city council to save this $500,000, and what are we doing?
Well, a budget is a reflection upon priorities of what kind of the council would like to see happen and done. The structure is 20 whatever year old. I think it's 23, 24 years old. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But, I don't know off the top of my head the source of the funds. So it's not, in a lot of cases, it's not as simple as saying we'll just move $500,000 to something else. Because if it's a one-time cost, typically it's a one-time cost, and once that money is spent on that project, it's the one time and it moves on. So I don't know what the source of the funds are off the top of my head, but any budget comes down to what the priorities are of elected officials.
So even if there was a project that was in play, that might not be a remedy regardless.
If it's in the CIP, it means it's rose to the level of that's a priority for the council to see kind of done. That's kind of what I think Dave was getting at a little bit here. Is he made motion obviously to remove this, but ultimately the council felt they disagreed and felt it was a priority to see it replaced.
All right, thank you.
Sue?
But shouldn't a priority of the council be to, I'm sorry, Sue, I interrupted.
That's all right. Go ahead. Why don't you finish and then I'll. Go ahead, Heidi.
Well, I was just going to say, shouldn't a priority of the council be to, if we've got a $500,000 shortfall, maybe restructuring a park isn't the smartest move with our money. I guess Sam has a good question, how are we looking to fill that gap? And is this someplace where we could put this off for another year or two to fill that hole so we don't have to borrow money?
So that would be a council decision ultimately. I don't, as part of the 2026 capital improvement plan, there's no gap in that budget, and we're working on the 2026 operating budget right now, but there's no gap in the 2026 CIP.
Okay.
Okay, super.
Okay. I have met people who feel very strongly that it shouldn't be replaced, and I understand that, in particular because you meet people who helped build what's currently there, and it was a great community building effort. I didn't live here at the time. At the same time, even though posts and poles are going to last a long time, and even if we'd have been fortunate enough to find a lot of volunteers to do this work, that means every how many years you have to round up the same amount of volunteers to power wash and sand and repaint. And it's a different area of work, but I have a hard time keeping somebody pulling weeds in a single park from the beginning of the summer to the end. So that might have been part of the calculation. One of the things I want to say in defense of what's there, and I think it can be recreated, is the design of it. Now, you don't want to use perhaps the same materials, but people really think of it as magical. And when you compare it to large play structures and other systems, it's really beautiful. And I happened to stumble on one very similar but more modern. In Port Washington, they have a accessibility playground that looks a lot like that, but it's the synthetic or composite materials with a pour and play base. And I'm sure Katie has seen examples all across the country, probably came up with a few herself. And I know Parkitecture designed the splash pad area at the park, so it'll be kind of neat to use the same firm and have it all fit together as well. And the votes to decide whether to do this or not, I think were at the end of last year at the council. The initial improvement or vote on the funds. And then the big bugaboo about can you take $1 million or $500,000? I doubt it, because a lot of times with park project you're using the park dedication fee money, and you better not take that to fill a budget hole somewhere else. That's a guess on where all the money came from, but a chunk of it had to be that. That's it.
I just got one other comment. I would agree, not that I necessarily need to address Patrick's criticism, but I did personally go over there and spend a bunch of time looking at it. I agree to some extent. Some of it could be, dealt with. But I do, and I agree with what you had to say. If they could keep the castle motif, Katie, you're out there, I think that's a winning design. I hate to say that, we should just rehash something that's already there. But having spent a ton of time there with my own kids and grandkids now, that design is a winner. So if you can kind of keep that, I think a lot of the objections would go away, and then just upgrade the things that need to be upgraded. And then clearly there are things there that need to be upgraded. So that's my only other comment. Thank you.
Any other comments? Oh, Adam.
Yeah, just a couple of things. If you do have high-level comments like that of trying to keep that theme, share them with me. We'll pass them along to Katie, and that's good to know right away if that's what you're looking for, kind of just generally big picture, keep as much as you can from a theme standpoint. Absolutely, we can look at that and work with them on that. The second thing regarding the donors, it was the question we had asked Parkitecture and all the consultants that we interviewed, just how would you recognize that? So as part of this project, they're going to look at what's the best way to recognize those past donors, whether it be using those bricks or just moving that someplace else in the same area, but just to have some type of recognition for that. And they had a couple good responses, what they've used elsewhere in other projects. So our intent is to, obviously it's going to change, but still recognize that, hey, there's a reason why this is here from, the work that was done, 23 years ago. Let's remember that too, otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation even today. So we're going to work with them on that as well to create some type of recognition board or area of some type.
I think also along those lines, if there's any opportunity to reclaim some of those materials, some of the timbers, some of the boards, because like Dave said, a lot of it still has some life left in it, and there's a lot of material there, and I hate to see stuff go to waste that could maybe get a second life out of it. And so even if we're, not refurbishing exactly what's there, if we can still bring that little bit of that history in from all that community, engagement that put it in there in the first place, I think that could be a really cool feature. I know those guys are creative enough; they can come up with something. If there's an idea there, they'll find it. But I think that would be really cool to see. All right, any other comments? All right, well, we have had a motion and a second, so all those in favor of our 11525, approval of design services at Kids Crossing, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
We have 3-2, so motion carries. Pardon? We have 3. Yes. All right. Item 4B, Resolution R11625. Approval of professional design services for Southdale Park. I do not have anybody registered to comment. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Move approval.
We got Sam and Dave. One of you want to take the second?
I'll take a second.
All right, Sam will take the second. All right, Adam?
Thank you. Once again, this is the design work for the Southdale Park. We had the conceptual layout that was completed by EOR. We did put this out for bids. EOR is our recommended consultant to use in this project. As part of this, they would work on working off that concept plan and designing the park improvements. They would create those construction documents, bid documents, and then they'd also provide construction management services for the project. So I know Rob is here from EOR. If you have any technical questions, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any.
All right, any comments? None? I have no comments either.
Just one quick question. What is the budget that we're putting out on the request for proposal, or are we giving for the design engineers? Do we have a budget that we're asking them to stick within?
We do. I'll be honest, I was looking for that right before the meeting here and I got tied up. I don't have it. I believe there is a budget that they'll be provided with, and obviously this design work here tonight will come off that total amount. This has been budgeted for a couple of years, so it's not a simple one I can just pull up. But I can share it unless somebody...
I just happened to be on this page of the RFP. The city has a $400,000 budget for all aspects of the project, including engineering services. Just lucky timing.
And this is 2025 or 2026?
This would hopefully be a build in 2026, a design throughout the rest of this year. I will honestly say, I think as we look at the concept that was put forward in the budget that we have, I think it's going to be challenging to implement all those items, but that's something that we'll have to come back and have the conversation here. But I think it's going to be very challenging to do all those items in that concept. So some staff will work through with Rob as well, just making sure the site is ready to go and doing as much as we can. But that's probably a future conversation we'll be having here with the Park Commission, just to be upfront on this.
Mm-hmm. Likely a process that we're familiar with EOR, similar to Stoner Prairie. We had kind of these big plans and then found a way to phase it, and so we have to start somewhere. So start with a big dream and then chip away at it over time, I suppose. All right, any other comments? All right, all those in favor of R11625, approval of design services for Southdale Park, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Item 4C, R11825, amending the 2025 Park Fee Fund budget. This is pertaining to Hartung Park development. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve.
Sue? A second?
Might as well be consistent. Second.
All right, second from Sam. Thank you. All right, Adam?
Thank you. This is some work that was completed already for the concepts at Hartung Park. For better or for worse, those funds were not allocated as part of the 2025 budget. So what we're doing as part of this resolution is allocating those funds from park fees and putting that work as part of the budget. So how it gets set up and works through our budgeting process is that just because we're getting park fees, if it's actually not budgeted in the budget, it means the funds are set aside and we have to come forward and do a budget amendment. In essence, this is what we're doing with this, of basically taking those funds that have already been paid and allocated, shifting it over to the concept that was kind of worked on previously, and then having those funds actually budgeted. So when the project comes, and I don't envision this project coming this year, when it comes, it's basically budgeted and ready to go.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. All right. All those in favor, R11825, amending 2025 park fee fund budget, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right. Moving on to item number 5, communications, the dog and parks item. This was a topic requested by Sarah, who's not able to join us tonight, but she had some residents had approached her with some questions about dogs and parks. So I think there's just clarification of our policies in whatever the extent that they exist.
Yep. I'm not familiar with the questions, but just twofold on dogs. One, dog waste needs to be picked up. That's a continuous problem we have in all our parks, and every park you go anywhere. That includes picking up the plastic bags. That's always a challenge too, where people will drop the plastic bags, pick up after the dog, but then leave the plastic bag on the path or for whatever reason. So it's an ongoing problem that we face daily. So just a reminder to people to pick up after your dog and take your bag and throw it in the garbage can. Second part was just keeping of dogs in the parks. So we do have a dog park, obviously, just south of here. So we always encourage people. That's a great place. They can have their dogs off leash. Our ordinances, we have a section of the ordinance at 56-74, which talks about conduct for animals, and it talks about presence in public parks. And it states, be present. Excuse me, I'll just start from the top here. It shall be unlawful for the owner or keeper of any animal to let animal do any of the following, and that would include presence in public parks, be present in or upon the grounds of any city park or any public recreational grounds where signs are posted prohibiting such presence, and in all other parks or recreation areas unrestrained by rope, cord, leash, chain, harness, or bridle. So once again, keep your dogs leashed unless you're at the dog park.
All right. Thank you for the refresher. We do have somebody turned in form would like to speak, to comment. Patrick Cheney, go ahead.
I pushed it at the same time. Now that I know what this is about, or at least one thing, picking up after dogs, I'll make a comment. McKee has some stations for the plastic bags, but I've always wondered why McGaw has never had these same stations. I'm not sure, but I think these bags and these stations are provided by the city. I live by McGaw. I see a lot of people walking in McGaw with dogs. It'd be nice if they did the same, as apparently encouraged and helped along in McKee. So what about McGaw having some of these stations? Thank you.
Thank you. I wonder if there is any sort of rhyme or reason to what parks have place stations and what parks don't.
There's a little bit of rhyme and reason to it. The longer, I guess the shorter version is, we'd love to get out of that business. We go through an incredibly large amount of plastic bags, which is wasteful, and I'm not going to even tell you how many we go through each year because the amount is unbelievable. We've had requests from other parks to do this, and I had a recent one actually, and we told them no. We put some signs up instead, but it's an issue for us to go out and replace them. And we go through an incredible volume of plastic bags that I think ideally we'd like to see people take some personal responsibility and just carry the bags like they should. So I think at some point the day will come that we'll probably start removing those, if anything, because it's long-term, it's not going to be sustainable for us. But the rhyme and reason, I think they originally put in around some stormwater ponds. I think that was from a water quality standpoint. But how they've been moved elsewhere, I think it's been, you received comments, I think they were going up at that point as well too, so. But yeah, we'd love to get out of that business. I'll just be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, that's very understandable, actually. Sue, yeah.
I appreciate the topic, and that's a good answer. I was curious, but it has always bothered me to see this provided plastic bags and think about, seriously, people don't walk out the door with a bag or 3 in their hands. And I know that the signs are expensive about you have to have your dog leashed, but I do want to say how helpful they are, because when you can, as a resident, when you're trying to tell a different person, why are our dogs going crazy? Well, mine's on a leash, yours is not. That drives the leash dog particularly crazy. They know they're vulnerable. So when you get the argument back from the other person, I don't see a sign, well, you can say, there's one on the corner access to this park. So the signs are helpful, even though expensive. I'd vote for a bigger sign budget when you get rid of the bags. All right?
Any other comments? No? All right. Moving on, item 6, staff reports. We have all the reports in the packet. Do we have any questions on the reports? All right, hearing none. Future agenda items. Do we know of any upcoming ones that we need to know about right now? Or that commissioners would like to see? Nope. Hearing, go
I
ahead.
know Scott worked on that inventory of the parks. I don't know, that sort of was an end. I know when I talked to the city administrator about it, that seemed to be an item of interest. And I thought it was a good way to prioritize where assets were in the parks, and then, develop some sort of a process, right, by which we would assess what maintenance needed to be done on different park elements, and then be able to justify those modifications, fixes, or whatever, based on that inventory, based on input from city staff on some of the issues. So I think we need to bring that back. And I think just because the maintenance burden of the city of Fitchburg continues to increase. And so we need to figure out how to solve that problem in a way that we can explain to the public and that also makes sense for the city. So,
Yep.
Anyway.
I can put that on a future agenda, not
Okay.
a problem.
Thank you.
Any others? All right. Announcements. Our next meeting is August 7th, back to our normal time and date. If there are no other comments, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I had one more thing I forgot to mention. So at the next council meeting, there's going to be a proclamation that will make July Park and Rec Month. So just if you're interested in that, you're welcome to attend that meeting, but there'll be a proclamation at that meeting in about a week and a half here. So
Fun. Thank you. All right. Now do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Motion from Sue,
Of course, we'll second.
and we'll follow tradition. Second from Sam.
Second.
Beat you to it.
Sam beat you to it, Heidi. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's okay. Aye.
All right. We're adjourned at 5:39. Thank you, everybody.